guys.
Hey landing crew.
Hi Rachel.
Welcome to Lex's 4-year update. We are going to talk all about you today.
Oh.
And guess what?
What?
Some of them have some questions for you.
What?
You're gonna go play while mommy talks to them about all the boring stuff about you, okay? The stuff that you won't sit still through. And then I'm gonna call you in here and you're going to answer questions all about you.
What?
Yeah. This happened while my battery was charging. No Q&A with Lex. I'm so sorry guys. I will have to add it on some other video, save the questions, or make it a completely separate video. But I'm going to talk about Lex. I'm going to kind of talk from the beginning-ish. Now this isn't going to really be a signs of autism. Of course, you'll probably hear some in here, but if you're wanting to know all of the signs that Lex had when he was 3, then go in the description below. Now it was when he was 3.5. So a lot has changed in the last 6 months. I had my tubes tied after my 3rd. Noah, who is 12, he's also on the spectrum. And then we saw geneticists and we're told it was okay to have more kids. So I really wanted another baby so bad. I had surgery, we tried for him. I was so excited when I found out I was pregnant with him. Everything was going great with Lex, or I thought everything was going great. Right before his 2nd birthday, the doctors started to notice that he was showing some red flags for autism. I thought they might have been jumping the gun just because his brother Noah had autism, but the older he got, the more we realized that he was having problems with sensory, he was eloping, he was not talking at all. He actually did not start talking until a few months before his 3rd birthday. He had no babbling at all. He'd have about 3 or 4 words that he would like cycle out, but he never had more than 4 functioning words at a time. I was worried, but there was a lot I wasn't worried about. It seemed like he understood a lot. He was very smart. He was always into everything, that's for sure. He was climbing out of his crib at 10 months. He's just always been my very active kid, but he's also very funny. He is a special boy. I ended up having his little brother Liam when he was 2, and then when he was 3, I had his little baby sister Penelope. We have been really busy this last 2 years, and maybe that's why things kind of just slip by. When others would ask me, do you think Lex has autism? I really didn't have an answer because I always felt he was like that in between of he could, but he couldn't. When he was 3.5 this past summer, we did take him to a doctor to have him evaluated for autism. She agreed with our findings that she felt the same way, that there were some things that were clear-cut autism and other things that aren't really autistic like. So she decided to go ahead and give him a autism diagnosis. She really felt like he was borderline high functioning. She didn't diagnose him as that. She diagnosed him with a mild autism. She said it would be good to have him reevaluated in like 6 months time, a year time. I also started the process over the summer to get him evaluated through the school system here to see if he would qualify for the special needs preschool class. Just because I feel like a lot of his socializing would be helped by in fact socializing. When Ashley would bring Sophie over, he seemed to just not have a good reaction with her. He didn't want to play with her, or if he did, she ended up getting hurt. But then I would take him to the park and he would play perfectly. So I really feel like the school setting could help him with that. He just had his evaluation earlier this month and I did get the evaluation results. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about that. And at the end, I will go over everyone's questions. I had an incident when he was about 3.5 before we moved down here where he actually went missing for an hour. We had to call the police. We have had quite a few eloping incidents since then. We've had to chase him down the streets many times. There was an incident just a couple days ago. We had gotten a bunch of packages in the mail. Lonnie put them in the garage because we really don't know what to do with them at this point because some are Christmas, some are sensory. Lonnie didn't realize that the boxes were blocking the sensor to the garage. So when he pushed the button, he thought the garage closed, but in fact did not. He is having a lot of sleeping issues. We still cannot leave him to sleep by himself. There are some nights that we're having to barricade him in our room. It's not fair to Lonnie Jr. when he has school the next morning that his little brother is keeping him up. A lot of Lex's behavior is reminding us a lot of Noah. Around age 4 is when things really got rough with Noah. Noah. That's basically what's happening with Lex. Hyperactivity, aggression, just a lot of issues of getting him to self-regulate his emotions appropriately. And he is only 4. There's some in there that it's just him being a boy and it's just being 4. And then there's definitely an abnormal point and a point that he cannot be left alone with other little kids. It's not just the younger kids, it's the older kids too, but obviously they're a lot bigger, so they can kind of defend themselves if their little brother is attacking them. It's making things difficult. It's hard because he is brilliant, like he is a genius, and that kind of gets him into trouble sometimes, but we constantly have to keep him busy. We're actually in the process of like getting everything in for sensory room, but it's also going to be a place for Lex to go because he just switches activities so much. Part of it is his ADHD. He was diagnosed with combined type ADHD, but a lot of it's him being 4, and then there's just this other piece that is going on. He's having a really hard time differentiating TV from reality, which I again think might be normal because of his age, but it's reaching a level that is not okay or acceptable to us. So we are eliminating anything violent, anything fighting, even something like PJ Masks he cannot watch. We're trying to get him to watch softer, more peaceful things like Mickey. It's hard. We're also limiting his iPad time, his time on YouTube, and it is really drastic, but I wish we would have done this with Noah. We know where this is going, so we're making the hard choice now. It's not easy. It makes me sad because I know he enjoys doing these things. There are times that it's nice to have my almost 4-year-old just to be able to be on a tablet for half an hour while I'm doing something. But we did get his evaluation results back. Now, the day I took him to his evaluation, he didn't really stay up too late that night, but he just kind of woke up tired. I thought because he wasn't his like normal Lex self that's super hyper, I was like, oh, he's probably not going to qualify. If he qualifies, it'll only be for speech. They explained to me that because he was almost 4, they still had to score him as a 3-year-old. So they were comparing him to other 3-year-olds, even though he was about to be 4 in 2.5 weeks. So that was a little strange to me. Like, why wouldn't you have waited till after his 4th birthday so he got the most accurate evaluation? But that was neither here or there. I, again, really didn't think it was going to be a thing. I thought if he qualified, it was going to be for speech. He was supposed to just have a speech evaluation and then just like a developmental evaluation. I was a little bit surprised by the results. They scored him in 5 different areas. In 3 of the areas, he got significantly delayed developmentally: social, communication, and cognitive. Cognitive is like how you process information. The other 2 were like motor and adaptive. Adaptive is like self-help skills. Lex does pretty well with like self-care and things like that. So those he did score low on, but not significantly low. Altogether, they scored him as being significantly delayed developmentally. I was a little bit surprised by that, but at the same time I understood because he did not start talking till almost his 3rd birthday. Even though he wasn't like super hyper, he was really not attentive. Like, it was really hard for them to get him to pay attention to what he was doing. He just didn't understand a lot of like social cues and verbal cues. Halfway through the evaluation, she had decided to do a language evaluation for him, which was not in the plans, but I guess she had saw or heard something that she thought it was significant. I didn't understand it. I thought language was just the amount of words he could say. So I thought, well, maybe he's just not talking as well as I thought he was talking. And so we got the language evaluation results, and he scored at a 2-year-old level. Receptive, he scored 25 months, which that is how he understands things. So when we tell him things, he is perceiving it like a 2-year-old would. So when he's taking his thoughts and ideas and speaking, that's expressive language, he is at a 28-month level. So he is pretty behind on both of them. The therapist said that she didn't feel like he had a language delay, but that he had a language disorder. I've never had a kid with a language disorder. Noah had an articulation disorder, but it was more on speech. I did do some research because that's what you do. After like reading it over, like I definitely understand why she thinks that. He did, of course, score lower on his speech articulation, which I expected him to because he has not been talking near as long as other little kids. He's about 42 inches tall. He's a very tall boy. He is 38 pounds. He is wearing a 5T. He is doing great in potty training. About a month and a half ago, I said, man, I would love for Lex to be potty trained before his 4th birthday. And it looks like he is going to stand true to that because he is doing fantastic. He's going on his own. Let's go ahead and get to your questions. If I've already answered any of them, I will just skip over them because there is a lot of questions. A lot of you guys are very curious about Lex, which I understand. He's like cute as ever. Stacy Johnson asked, does he get stuck on one favorite show or movie like a lot of autistic kids do? He does, but it's also his age. It's hard for me to gauge because it's been such a long time since I've had a typical boy. He would get obsessed with like Power Rangers and then just want to watch nothing but Power Rangers. But again, that just might be his age. Alyssa Akins asked, will he go to public school in the future or be homeschooled? So we will start out public school with him and see how it goes. If there's a need to homeschool him, I will, but we're hoping to keep him in public school just because I feel like he could really benefit from that social piece. There's nothing better to teach you how to socialize than to socialize. YMMN asked, what is his sleep schedule? Does he have diagnosis of ADHD? Yes, he does. We usually try to get him to bed between like 9:30 and 11. We've learned if we try before then and he falls asleep by some miracle, he will wake up around 4. He is really hard to put to bed even on his most calm nights. It takes hours for him to fall asleep and then he usually wakes up in the middle of the night. But the most common scenario for his sleep schedule is him staying up until 3 or 4 in the morning. A lot of nights we've had to again barricade him in our room with us so he is safe, but everyone else in the house can sleep. So sleeping is really an issue in our house right now. It's just unfortunately part of autism. It's part of it. It's part of having so many kids on the spectrum. Jax asked, were you surprised at the evaluation for preschool or were you expecting this? I think I was expecting him to qualify. I think the language threw me off. I think the language one was kind of like a big pill to swallow, and I don't know why. Having a language disorder or even a delay or whatnot, it is not meaning that he has a low IQ or anything like that. It's still hard to hear and it's hard to see numbers. And I just want Lex to be his best self. And Lex was always the one out of the 3 autistic kids that I was just like, no, like, I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about him. I feel like in a way I was deflecting because I didn't want to deal with those emotions. RN asked, does he play with other kids? He plays great with kids at the park again, but anyone in his house other than the older kids, he doesn't play well with. He doesn't play well with Penelope. He doesn't play well with Liam, but sometimes he acts like he wants to play with them. It is very confusing. I feel like I'm just repeating Noah's 4th year and like how I would talk about Noah, but with Lex, it feels like there's 2 different people. There feels like there's this silly, fun, crazy kid that is adorable and says the cutest things. And then there's this other child that absolutely has no control over what he's doing, like everything is just a battle with him. Miss Films asked, what does he think about Penelope? He actually loves Penelope and he loves Liam. It's just he does not know how to interact with them. Thomas Van Leer asked, do you think he can live on his own later? I think he should be capable of that, but I can't really answer that for sure. Lisa asked, who does he gravitate to more regarding his siblings? I think Lonnie Jr., he's always been really close to him just because he's like his big bro and he shares a room with him. Which parent does he listen to better? Definitely Lonnie. Brittany McDowell asked, how has potty train been going? Any tips? I've kind of already updated on that. My best tip is just be consistent. Let them do it in their own time. Don't stress your child out and don't stress you out if your child is in fact not ready. I never pushed potty training. I let him show me signs that he was ready and then I would encourage it off of that. I guess it's because of Noah, but I just am not in some rush to have my kids potty trained. Scarlett's Lovely Stitches asked, will Lex have an IEP? Yes, he will. Ty NG asked, is Lex still a picky eater? Yes, he is definitely still a picky eater, but he's getting better on it. Like we haven't had to give him like Pediasure shakes for nutrition in like a month. He is trying more foods slowly. He's still extremely picky and he won't eat like anything that's like food touching mixed together. He won't eat anything that has sauce on it. But before he would refuse to eat a peanut butter and jelly. Now he seems to be doing better with it where he will just tear them apart and eat them individually. Max Anderson asked Lex, are you going to make a lot of friends? I think Lex is going to be a social star. I think he's going to do great. Wakeko Sujita asks, I'm so sorry, I know I butchered that. Why is he going to public school but Noah is homeschooled? Because Noah has different needs that cannot be met by public school at this time. The state of Florida will not give Noah a one-on-one aid. Up in Jacksonville wouldn't do it, down here wouldn't do it until we're in a school system that can see that he has a need for it, then we just are going to continue homeschooling him. So next is going to be Instagram. So if you don't follow us on Instagram or Facebook, please follow us on both. Facebook, I'm going to start going live. Then Instagram, I just post things and ask questions for videos. So InLeb 1993 asked, does he look like Noah and Lonnie Jr. did when they were babies? He looks the most like Lonnie Jr. did. What is his current favorite show or movie? It was Power Rangers, but we are changing that. And I think right now he's watching the most of Jake Netherland Pirates, but he also likes Rugrats too. Does Lex do any therapy, speech, ABA? Right now where we live, there is a waiting list for everything. So right now we're just very thankful that Liam gets OT. I will be getting a referral for ABA for him at his 4-year appointment. I definitely feel like he could probably benefit from it. Camila asks, are you letting his hair grow long again? Yes, I am. It isn't that awkward. You don't look like you got a mama stage. We will continue to trim it as the front gets longer. I will not be trimming it. We will be taking him to a salon. Emmy 1328 asked, how did you get his talking to improve so quickly? He's the cutest. I actually just talked to him a lot as I was doing things and just kept being repetitive with it. It was like he wasn't really making progress for like the longest time, and then it's like he woke up one morning and decided he would talk. Just for Laughs 2 asked, does Lex understand, respond to directions? He actually does, and that's what I was so surprised with the receptive language. I can tell him to go get me something and he'll go bring it to me. I guess what is expected at 3 is beyond that point. Because I mean, he's been able to do that since he was like 2. Julie asked, do you think Lex is autistic? And to some, this may be a funny question, right? Like, he has a diagnosis, like what? But I've been very clear about the fact that I was unsure a lot. The doctor was kind of unsure, and that we would just kind of wait and see. I have went up and down. A lot of times when I talk about my autistic kids, I just talk about Liam and Noah. And I did that because I have no doubt in my mind that Noah and Liam are autistic. Lex was always a question mark. If you notice in some of my more recent videos, I include Lex now. And that is because I do believe that Lex is 100% on the spectrum. I feel that he's a lot like Noah. Sometimes when a child is higher functioning and they have behavioral issues and other things going on, it's easy to want to pass it off as something else instead of spectrum. But because he is like literally textbooking Noah at his age. Do you still teach him some sign even though he's verbal now? We haven't really been teaching him sign language, but we will be doing PECs very soon. R. Wilson 10 asks, is his speech getting better? Yes, he is definitely getting better with his speech. We are very proud of Lex. I don't want this video to come across that I'm not proud of him. I am very, very, very proud of him. So somehow my battery died again. I need to find my battery charger, but thank you guys for watching this video. Again, I'm sorry that Lex was a disappointment and fell asleep early, but like, I'm so glad he did because he needs to get his sleep on track. He's been really tired lately. So I'm hoping that it means that he's kind of resetting his sleep schedule. I'm so hoping. But if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, or better yet, it might be easier if you come hang out with us on live stream. I stream on YouNow. I stream twice a day on YouNow at 12 p.m. Eastern and then 9 p.m. Eastern as well. I am going to start doing a Facebook Live at least once a week as well. I just kind of have to figure out what day would be best. I'll hopefully be able to film Lex answering questions very shortly for you guys. I was so excited. It was going to be so cute, and I'm a little bit bummed and then a little bit happy he's sleeping. It's like this in-between feeling. Regardless, I love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Where you move make me blind. You will always be there. There's no doubt in my mind. You will always be